Hello again, my people. I want to make a video discussing my thoughts on the current market situation and also the current cryptocurrency market situation. Um, this video will be geared towards the crypto side of things. And I want to start off by talking about Bitcoin, one that we know it's not going to have a rug pull, one that we know it's not going to go bankrupt, one that we know is going to be around a while because it has been around a while. Now, when I look at the chart, the 5-year chart, I see this time of the year in May 2017, it was the price of roughly, let's say, Ethereum is right now. 1800, 1900, 2000. Roughly around just under $2,000 a coin for Ethereum at the moment. Um, and you think, wow, 5 years ago, a coin that's worth $29,000 right now. Uh, you know, that's that's substantial growth. It's around 1,300%. And like, okay, and that's when the market's down. You know, and then I look at the 1-year chart, and this time of the year in May, exactly 1 year ago, um, Bitcoin was sitting around the same price, $29,000 and change, as it is right now. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it probably hit the floor. It looks like it's at the floor, as long as, in my opinion, as long as Bitcoin maintains the support it has, as I would say it's consolidated, because it's been going sideways for some time now. I mean, it had to descend. It took time. It took a year. Um, October to November of last year, 2021, you had highs on all the cryptos. And you had your month gap there. You had a very light sell off or healthy pullback or whatever you want to call it in between October and November. But you had your peaks right there at the top. And it's like we started down here and we climbed and climbed a certain way, little tiny little dip, and then another equal rip, and then it just steady climbed down to where we're at right now. So I feel like it's a safe place to buy cryptocurrency because there's so much room ahead of where it's at. And I like to, think of Bitcoin as the granddaddy of all cryptocurrencies. If Bitcoin's doing bad, most of the ones that you're probably invested in are doing poorly as well. And it's something you got to keep your eye out on. It's cryptocurrency. It doesn't have the security of stocks, but boy, with that volatility, there's also room for growth, and and then there's the risk of like Luna, Squid Game. Those are examples of why you need to do your research. Find out what you're investing in. Don't even think about holding crypto unless you just want to gamble. Don't even mess with it unless you know what you own, and you'll know what you own by getting a few things, like get a good pulse on the market, get a sentiment of how the overall people and investors feel. Find out if it's a pump and dump. Find out how many is in circulation. Look at your market cap. Is it a small market cap? Look at the ranking of it. Ranking being is by market cap. But you need to find out like what utility that they're on. Are they a meme coin? Some of those things matter. Some of those things for investors. Some of those things don't matter. But there's definitely a lot of those things. Most of them do matter. And when you found the right coin, at the right spot, and you can learn that spot by looking at history. History repeats itself. I feel like as we take it even further step back in the grander scheme of things, you're going to find over time these rips and these dips closer to the original floor than you could imagine, even though a lot of time was in between. Those kind of things cause market panic, and scare. But usually, a good rule of thumb is that if a if a coin has hung around for over a year and you think it's solid and it doesn't really drop off any more dramatic than anything else that you know is stable or solid, and you're probably all right. You never know when with cryptocurrency, because that's a 24/7 business. You know, 365. So you have a little more a little more well, incentive to keep your eye on it at all times. I could be making this video and it could be going crazy. Um, it's one of those things. So it's good to own, you know, 20%, or I'd say, or less. But a small portion of your overall portfolio, if you're diversifying, it's good to own a little bit of good crypto. Personally, right now, I only have $1 worth of Bitcoin, just enough to look at it. Um, but I've got 111,111,111 Shiba Inu. So, roughly $1,100-$1,200 worth at the moment. So when that has a run up and makes me a couple thousand, then I have to decide, do I secure my profits, or do I wait for the leg up, or do I have to wait another year if I hold it while it goes down? Those are things that investors have to plan an entry and plan an exit. Have an exit plan. You could rinse and repeat every year, but still have higher floors. Those are things that you should think about and consider when determining how long you're going to hold your cryptocurrency for. Because you need to have diamond hands with cryptocurrency just as much, if not even more, than a lot of stocks. Yeah, so that's definitely something to think about. And as far as the stocks, I noticed for this Thursday that a lot of the small market cap stocks were red and still either maintaining their floor area, or actually going a little lower. Very few were holding support, but there were some. But I noticed some of the bigger market caps were green. So it's interesting. We're at a real interesting time right now. Are we going to face a market recovery or not? But just that in itself, I would think would have to entice people to want to buy, because they say buy the dip. That's hardcore when you bought it at the top all the way down. But if we are truly at our floor, and then that's different, because whether you can afford to or not, it is technically the ideal time to buy. So it's one of those things, and with crypto, the last time it was up, October, November, like I was saying, you look at it now, this next October, November will be, a 12-year calendar year, it'll be a year. So, it would be easier to say if it is going to have its whatever size rip it's going to be. It's going to have its rip this year. It's going to be between now and then, roughly, or shortly after, right? And what if that doesn't happen for a couple years? Then it's going to be at any time. I mean, that's the best that we can do off of the information that we have. So it's one of those things that just feel like it's a good buying opportunity. You want to watch for, like I say, watch Bitcoin, make sure it doesn't drop below 26, and then my mind's going to start thinking, 19. There's a psychological point there, 19,000. And then there's that a couple years ago, I remember it being right around $10,000, and you're like, oh, is that going to happen? And is that dramatic of a drop going to cause maybe your coin that's not Bitcoin to maybe react better, but most likely worse, right? So yeah, there's those things to be considered when investing in cryptocurrencies. I hope that information and those thoughts help. Um, as far as the stocks, I'll put out more videos about them. Right now, it's like popcorn, jumping up and down, popping up and down. I feel like it seems to be the floor unless we have some bad things going on in this world that get worse. This is probably, at least should be, roughly as bad as it gets, you would think. And I can at least say this with certainty: if you haven't invested now, now is the time. Don't get something that's going to go out of business. Do your research. Don't get something that's going to get a rug pull. Do your research. And unless there's some really good catalysts, if you're dealing with stocks, I always would recommend stay away from pharmaceuticals right now. Um, well, I would stay away from them when they're actually worth something. Maybe right now, if they don't go out of business, you would be fine. But I'd stay away from them. That's just my opinion. Maybe some people make more money with them, and that's what they do. There's so many strategies, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why people need to think for their own, and not take a bit of information from any of us YouTubers and or investors or both, and take it the wrong way and take it all to heart, and only be one way about things. I had one guy say something about, well, you must jump around from stock to stock. I'm like, wow. Let's see, I'm a blue collar guy that doesn't have a job, barely surviving. I only have a certain small amount of money. Not that I need to explain all these things, but you know, eh, people's positions are different in life, and you have to make the right moves based on your position. To me, that's common sense. Um, Obviously, common sense is not so common these days. Um, anyway, I don't want to rant and rave. I respect everyone's opinion, and I even understand what he was saying and where he was coming from. It's just that there's more to the picture, than that. It's like if somebody tells you about a stock and it doesn't go up, 5 minutes or 5 days from the time they told you, then, don't beat them up for it. Understand that this is a global thing. This is an economy, a big economy. Um, Stock market isn't really just affected by one or two people. I mean, sometimes you'd be surprised, what an impact the people can have. But I mean, Bitcoin drops below, you know, let's say 10,000, and and stocks are worth pennies, then that's as bad as it can get. I don't think that we're heading there. I hope to God not. Anything is possible. Um, but I don't even know if hedge funds and market makers can totally do all that. I think that's a thing that they work on, but there's other forces that's outside of everyone's control to some degree. Um, or maybe it's all in our control. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Part of my title on my YouTube is the search for truth. I don't know it all, and I don't claim to know what I don't know. But I sure as heck do know what I do know. And I like sharing that information and learning from everyone, and hopefully teaching, because there's a big element of learning when you teach as well. Um, Anytime anyone ever has any questions, it's nice if they're not sarcastic, but it's safe. I love freedom, so I'd rather them be than not be, and that means pretty much anything. Maybe except a stumbling block to their neighbor, or but to be a pain in the rear end, that's sometimes acceptable. We're talking about finances, and it's a touchy game that we play, a dirty game, and a game of lies and manipulation and greed, of course, that drives all those things. Uh, but I think if you're a smart investor, despite whatever the market's doing, I think you can always get your niche. You can get your piece of the pie. You don't have to lose at what you're doing. You don't always have to just be in love with your results. But again, some things are outside of your control. We can all only do what we can do. And that to me is why it's all a part of growing your portfolio or portfolios. You know, that matters in life. And just a little bit I grew off of $300 is basically taking care of me, minus a few real hard days of my life. I'm 42 years old, and you know, I've been partially homeless for hours during the day, but I've only slept outside on the ground with out of vehicle or whatever, and just straight up outside on the ground 2 days of my life. I've only done this stock market for 2 years, and this stock market to me has rendered me better results than anything I've ever done. So that's why this is exciting for me, and I'm all about learning. You know, I'm not a know-it-all. I just, like I said, know what I know, and I don't claim to know what I don't know. Lots of words of wisdom there for my followers that haven't maybe heard this side of things for me. But that's pretty much all I got for the moment. I'll do another video on geared much more towards stocks and different things to look for, different sectors, you know, and whatever else that comes up, whatever questions that need to be answered. But until then, I'll see you at the bell.